Uh, Welcome to the 31st video community of practice meeting. I'm Pankaj Agrawal, founder of Next Software Solutions and working group leader of this community of practice. Uh, I don't have much agenda today. One thing that I would probably want to share officially is that uh, we have a demo for the work we have done in this community of practice. If anyone doesn't have the URL, you can check here. I'm currently logged in, so it is directly showing the video here. If I'm not logged in, it will show, show an option to enter name and email ID. And after that, you see this demo. Whatever you do in this video, you'll be able to log into this LRS here, and then you can see reports like this. There might be bugs, so we do need to do some extra testing. If you get time, maybe you can do some testing. One easy way to do the testing could be entering instead of your name. Maybe you can enter the name of your device and the version of device. For example, let's say if you're testing with iPhone 7, you can type in iPhone 7 and then the OS version. That way, all the statements will be tracked with that name, and then we can know that this specific device has created those statements. Hi, Vincent. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, was the last one a question?
Yes.
We have Vincent here. I was asking him if he's if I'm audible to him.
Oh.
Okay. I hope he's able to hear me. So I was saying that this is the demo for the profile work we have done, and currently you see the video play button. But if you open this URL and you are not logged into the site, and most probably you'll not be logged in, you'll see name and email ID input box. So instead of name, if you enter the device name, iPhone 6, and then the version of the OS, that way we can do testing. All the statements will be tracked with that name, and then we'll know what statements are generated from what type of device and what type of OS. A way to simplify testing. So we do need to do some testing and figure out if there are bugs, and then if there are some live implementations, it will be good to know the results from there. John has already implemented this profile with h5p, and h5p is pretty popular. So I believe we'll get some live input from there. That'll be good to see. John can tell and explain more about what his team has done with h5p and video profile. Would you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I can talk about it. I don't have anything set up to demo for you guys, but I can talk about it. So we have a new course that we're developing for a high enrollment biology course at our university. We'll be using OpenStax as a OER book for this biology course. And we wanted to add some interactive video components to sort of the formative assessment pieces in the book. And so we're using h5p for that. So in order for us to collect data using it, H5P, if you're not familiar with it already, is essentially just reusable objects in HTML5. I would suggest looking at their site for more details, but they have a pretty nice component for doing interactive video, which for them includes quizzing and some smart movements within the videos. Like if you have an assessment in the middle and you fail it, it may take you back to the point where you should have learned what in theory you should have learned what that quiz was asking you about. There's a bunch of feedback mechanisms in their video. So anyways, they have a somewhat robust interactive video tool, but their xAPI coverage was limited to the assessment data in the book for the most part, or assessment data in the video for the most part. Whether or not people interacted with the assessments, if they got it right or wrong, that kind of stuff. I think they only had one video related xAPI statement, which I think was that they got to the end of the video or something like that. So they were essentially missing all the ones that we put together in this profile: pause, play, skip, etc. Our definition of completed and so forth. So anyways, we've already extended H5P core for the HTML5 and the YouTube components to collect xAPI data that matches the video profile that we put together. For the most part, there are some things that were not built in because the way that H5P deals with xAPI makes it a little hard for us to get all the components in. So for example, H5P already has a definition for the word completed, which to them means got to the end of the video. For us, it means that they have watched all of the video, not just hit the last frame. So because of that, because of their pre-existing definition of it, and right now they're communicating to us that there are people who are using that verb for whatever their purposes are with H5P, that we can't redefine it within their system. So what we have decided to do for now, and I'm open to community feedback on this and a better suggestion if you have one, was we're using another verb instead for our version of completed, which I think we're calling finished right now, in order for us to capture the event of having watched the entire video and not just getting to the end. So right now we're kind of stuck between H5P doesn't want to change their verb, but we still want to capture the event. So that's where that is right now. Another limitation with the way they have dealt with xAPI is that they limit the amount of things that we can push into an xAPI statement. So they have predefined verbs, the ones that they want to cover, and some of that material, some of the structure of that statement is hard-coded into H5P, where we would have to change other aspects of core in order to adjust for example, to include verbs that are not already included, or to change properties like the object that H5P has assumed is going to change it a certain way based on how they wanted people to use xAPI. So anyways, in summary, we have a partial implementation of the video profile for H5P. We have just about everything in there. The biggest deviation is the word completed. It does not mean what it means for the profile. We have replaced it with the verb finished. And at the moment, we are just waiting for the core team to pull in our modifications. But we have been talking to them for the last month or two, reviewing sort of what we've been doing. So you should see xAPI partially implemented with the video profile, hopefully within the next month or two.
Okay, great. That's really nice. Anyone has any questions related to that?
Just in case anybody else is interested in this, because we are using OpenStax for this course, we're extending Pressbooks as well to send ebook xAPI statements that somewhat match with Pebble. If you go to the video vocab, xAPI's video profile, so vocab profile site, what is it called? Yeah, xapi.vocab.pub. Their ebook verbs we are building into Pressbooks now. So not related to video, but if anybody's interested, it's related to the same project.
Yeah, that's interesting. uh, I'd looked at Pressbooks. I haven't used it, so I cannot say much. But the site looks interesting. So if you have any implementation which we can look at, that'll be useful once you have that.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can share that at the next meeting. We're kind of waiting for them to absorb it into core before we make any demos. So
That's good. Um, is there anything anyone wants to talk about?
I don't think so. I think our biggest task is just to review the existing demo that the video profile group has made on other devices. So
I have a question. This is my first meeting in this group, and I wanted to ask Pankaj if this profile is it still open for comments, or I mean, where is the right place to raise an issue, like the GitHub page, or
Yeah, yeah, you can talk about it here, and definitely GitHub page would be somewhere it will be more clearly documented. So you can
okay?
do both or one,
So you're
and
still
we are
open for
always open.
okay, yeah, because a couple of months ago I was working on adding xAPI to a video, one of those video players, and after I had my program
Hmm.
almost finished, I realized that you guys had already like an implementation. So basically, I took what I liked from yours and what I liked from mine, and I put it together. But I haven't had time to share it on GitHub yet, and I wanted to share it because there's a couple of things in the video profile that I would like to, make a comment, or I'm not really convinced that there is the right way to do it. So I just wanted to know if it's okay to, raise an issue in GitHub.
Yeah, you can raise the issue in GitHub. If you want to talk about it here, you can mention that.
No, I,
yeah, Pablo, and
I,
just to throw a little more in here for you, in past conversations we've had some conflicting opinions about certain aspects of the profile, particularly from Anthony's perspective. Well, I don't know if he's here or not today, but so you may be hitting on the same topics. But if you have an issue or suggest improvement, please go ahead and make
okay.
those.
Yeah, I think I'll do it there because I can explain it better in writing, to give my reasoning behind it. It's just, it's just an opinion, but I just want to share it with you. So I'll just do it on the GitHub page.
Awesome.
Definitely.
What did you make yours in? What tool were you using, or what video library were
No,
you?
okay. What is the video player that you use for that demo? Uh, Video co-op.
It's
Hold on.
Video.js. Is what
Yeah,
we were using.
that's the
Yeah.
same thing I used.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so that's when I realized I was halfway done. It's like I looked into the video community of practice, and I saw that you had already like a thing done. So and I like better some, the way you did some things.
Mhm.
But I just want to share my piece of code with you guys, uh, so you can see it. And there was an issue about like the session ID that you're generating. You're
Mhm.
using
Mhm.
the statement ID of the first statement,
Right.
and I'm not sure that's the way I would do it. And in fact, I didn't do it that way. And
Okay.
also, you are what's the other thing? yeah, you to keep the segment information, you're reading statements from the statement API, and I think that should be like a state API. You know.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, both of those topics are two of the ones that we had batted around quite a bit in the.
Oh, okay. I
So,
look at the. I will look at the closed issues then.
oh, there's
uh,
probably not much written about that in GitHub because I think most of our discussions about that were in the meetings. So yeah, I'm
Ah,
all I'm saying is that there have been opinions on that. So please feel free to add your voice to it because I think we may.
okay. Yeah,
There's
I
definitely room
looked
for
in,
adjustment.
right. I looked into the closed issues to see if there was anything, but I didn't see anything now that you mention it. So yeah. Well, I mean, I can put in writing, give my reasons, for what, to tell you what I think, and that's fine. I mean, there's no problem. It's just, uh,
Well, uh, this is Patrick. I just wanted to add as well. I mean, this is pretty new. I mean, the standard kind of just got finalized as well recently. So we're seeing the first implementations right now. So if you're finding things, I think you should bring them up as you discover them, for sure.
okay. Yep, yep. I'll do. I'll do it. Yep.
yeah, and that way we'll have it in writing. We have already discussed both of these topics before in the meetings, which might be in the recordings, but as everyone knows that no one will look to the recording. If it is in the ECU, it will be better to reference
Yeah, I think it's
in the
better to
future.
do it in
So
GitHub because then it'll be documented, and if somebody else comes and looks for that, they will find the
yep.
information. All
Definitely.
right. Yep. Thanks.
Uh, is there anything else anyone wants to share or ask, or any issue you want to bring up?
Is everybody? I mean, is everybody okay with us coming up with a new verb for H5P? Does anybody have a better recommendation for how to go about doing that? Since they're using completed to mean hit the end of the video, and we're using completed to mean watch the entire thing.
I
All right.
think I think you are right, and they are wrong in the use of the verb because finish should be used for the last frame. I mean, that's when you're finishing, but complete is like what we're doing in the video profile. It's like you've seen the whole thing. It doesn't matter if you've seen it in one run or in several segments, but yeah, complete is that you've seen everything, not just the last frame.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue right now, though, is that for H5P, at least, because they have a pre-existing definition for completed, I'm having to define it in the reverse order. So I'm
Yeah,
having to
I
have
know
completed.
that's
Yeah,
why it sounds weird.
yeah. I was uncomfortable making the decision, so I'm open to suggestions. I thought about making the verb
I,
like actually completed, 2 words or something, for real.
I needed a new verb just recently too for things that were automatically captured, xAPI statements that were not necessarily interacted with from the student, but were not manually wasn't interacted, but they automatically captured every page view, and that's what I set it to. I just set it to auto viewed or something like that. I just made up my own one, so I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay to make up your own verbs. I mean, I do
Yeah,
sometimes make an extension or a verb, but
making up your own verb is fine, but I think what John is trying to explain is that whatever video profile means by completed is different from what it'll work in H5P. So, so in essence, H5P will always be non-compliant with or partially compliant with video profile. Is that
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. There is no mechanism for me right now to ever make them compliant. If their current users are expecting completed to mean a certain thing right now, and they're not willing to make that change to force them to change to a new definition, and there's no tool for me or process in which I could say, you know, this completed means something different right now.
Yeah. One way could be that when we send the statements to the LRS, we change the verb. So I don't know how you have tested it, but when
Yeah.
when we do it with
this is Patrick. I thought of a different idea. I mean, you can have two verbs that are the same as long as they're pointing to different dictionaries as well. So if you want, you can define your own dictionary and then define this verb to mean completed for video rather than completed for the course. And then they can coexist happily because the URIs are going to be different.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could do
Yeah.
that.
I think that's I was thinking kind of the same, but Patrick said it like very clearly. I think that's the way to do it. You know, you can define your own verbs for this profile, and that's it. You know, you can.
So
I think that's the way to do it.
The overhead in this issue then is that whoever wants to use xAPI statements from H5P would just have to be aware then they couldn't just search for the completed verb. They'd have to be looking at the URL, whatever it is, and the definition to differentiate between the completeds, right? So the overhead's on their side to differentiate.
Yeah, but then it becomes a reporting issue, not a it's not going to be a problem with collecting the data. It's going to be a problem with the reporting, I would say, right? Because you have two different completeds now.
Right.
Which is
activity
fine.
ID needs to be different.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The activity ID will need to be different for the two completed states.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Conflicting, because otherwise same activity will be completed in two different ways. So
that makes sense.
Some difference in the
although if the verb is different,
does it need to be different?
Does that matter?
Is that a spec requirement?
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
If the verb is different, it will not follow the profile. Tool built for the profile will not report on those statements from H5P unless it is customized for that too.
If the activity ID is not different, is that what you're saying?
If, for example, the activity ID is different, so let's say you have some starting statement like attempted this video, and then
Patrick, you're ringing.
I think there is feedback from Patrick. Patrick's mic.
Oh, sorry.
So if the activity IDs are different, that means you'll have a separate activity ID going on for, and then you have a separate activity ID going on for the video inside at H5P. And everything for the video will have the same activity ID. And then the H5P specific completed statement will go for the H5P activity. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure I'm following you.
That
Hold on, I'm trying to.
I think you might be better aware about those statements, so you might have to think about it. But the way I'm thinking is like the video will be a sub activity inside the H5P video activity. So there'll be a different activity ID for the entire video thing inside it, and there'll be a
yeah. I mean, we were
activity ID.
So H5P gives.
But I don't know if it can be done.
I'm not sure either. I think we had trouble accessing information related to the video through the H5P elements because they were kind of hiding it from us. They were instead giving us an activity ID that was generated by them that represented the H5P object that they were. The object ID, I should say, is the H5P thing that's getting made in WordPress, which is what we're using. You can see it in there. If you click any of the xAPI coverage things, they mention what it is. They don't really show it to you. But yeah, anyways, we had a hard time accessing the video, something for the video like a URL specifically, in order to put the completed on that object instead of on the H5P object. So we ended up deciding not to do that just because we would have had to edit more of H5P to make it happen. Yeah, I mean, right now all of the video profile verbs point to the H5P activity itself and not to the video, which could also be a profile issue. I'm not sure. But again, that's sort of a caveat of their design. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're probably gonna leave it as it is right now. We'll see how H5P absorbs it. We're gonna try it out on a live course, and then we'll probably do a review to see if we should make additional modifications to help what we could do to have a better alignment with the profile at that point. So
yeah, that'll be good. Maybe you can think about the Patrick's idea also, if it can be done. I don't know if it can be done or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, yeah, we can look into it.
Because of limitations there. One possibility could be changing it outside H5P. Like H5P doesn't send the statements itself. So, some external plugin is used which sends the statements. In our case, we use Grassblade to send the statements from H5P, and we might be able to modify those statements in some way. If you are using some other plugin that is sending the statement, there could be a way to change those statements in some way to align it to video profile better. So there might be different ways you can think about it.
Yeah, I think
hopefully we can find a good way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. We were trying to limit the number of dependencies that would exist off the H5P plugin to also send statements, because you're right, H5P itself doesn't send it. H5P does have an xAPI plugin though, so that is the device that links into their event dispatcher. I know you could use Grassblades too, and we had talked to you earlier about that. Just so everybody else knows, we had talked to Pankaj earlier about that, figuring would it make sense to work with Grassblades in a way so that we had more control over the statements that were being sent, because the event dispatcher that H5P has maintains quite a bit of control on the statements, enough that it complicates things a bit. So we chose not to do that for now, but that may be a better approach next time. So.
Yeah, but again, we'll have to evaluate and see if that helps.
Yeah.
due to the way H5P works. But if we can get video profile working, and if there is value that H5P is able to see, maybe they change their decision.
Yeah.
I believe that anyone who is using video, they are more interested in knowing if the video was watched completely than knowing if the user reached the end. But that might be my assumption.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I think it's in maybe August is the class that we're testing this in. So we'll have about 700 students worth of interaction data. So any issues that exist with the implementation of the profile generally or in H5P should come out at that point. We can bring back those results when we have them.
And if we can get some more testing done, then I think people will feel more confident about using the code, video demo code that we have, and then we can probably see more live implementations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think testing is one thing that needs to be done. That should be our near-term target.
Pablo, did you end up moving forward with your custom one, or did you take ours and modify it?
No, I started with my one on my own, and later
Yeah.
I discovered that you had one. So I went ahead with mine, but I took
Okay.
the pieces that I liked from yours. So but basically the strategy I was following was the same that you have in your code. So I mean, it was the same kind of thinking. Some implementation details were different. So I just took the best, what I like best from each one, and I put it together. And I have that piece of code somewhere, but I haven't put it in GitHub yet. I will put it in and send you guys a link.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be good for us to contribute to Video.js at some point if we can get after we've done some testing, we can move our code into a way that's probably a little more interoperable for them, using their plugin structure probably. But it could be useful for expanding reach.
Yep.
Would it make sense to set up another call to kind of review that implementation as well to see if there's a opportunity either for your implementation or kind of a cross-pollination of ideas?
I mean, I'm down to do that. I think it was a good deal of that work was Pankaj and Jason. I think I made one commit, so as long as they're willing to lead discussion, I'm happy to join.
And it could be next month or whatever for our next call as an agenda item. Just throwing that out there if anyone else is interested in kind of digging down into the details on it.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea, especially if Pablo can give us some of his experiences building too. That'll give us some talking points.
Yeah, and next month will be fine because I'm not gonna have time in like the next week or two. I don't think I'm gonna have time, but in a month, yeah, I can. I mean, before next meeting, I can send you an email or something telling you, where the stuff is, so you can look at it.
And I would say, in particular, things that maybe went right, but also things that went wrong. What parts were confusing as you were building it, and then reading through what parts were did you get stumped on that didn't make any sense, and kind of the what was your thought process behind it, right? Because it needs to be easy for people to implement as well in order for it to get adopted.
Yeah, I think I don't remember. It was pretty straightforward, but I found some inconsistencies. But I have to look at not inconsistencies, but the definition of the profile in the profile server is not totally 100% in agreement with the documents that I saw. in the profile web page. So I have to review that. So I can do that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I can make notes and send it to you before next month's meeting.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that would be great.
that would be great. I mean, that's very valuable information.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of those discrepancies, Pablo, in the documentation may be gone now because I found some of them too when we were doing H5P, and I
Okay.
think we fixed some of them. So you're not crazy if you go and it's not there anymore, but there probably are still some. So feel free to point out any you do find.
Yeah. I'll take a look at it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, that will be great. I'm sure there are a lot of improvements that can be done, and if you have seen some of them, it will be great to get your feedback and try to improve on them.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Be great.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. So I think we can end a little early today,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
if you still have time, maybe you can continue testing and give your feedback.
All right.
Great,
Sounds
and
good.
I hope you feel better. Remember, drink lots of tea and whiskey. That always helps.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right. Take care, guys.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.